Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classes of Cinematics, and this is the show where we talk about the classic films that shaped and warped our film-going experiences, man. And joining as always, my co-host, we got Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo.
Folks, man, so we got one of the all-time great heavy hitter films today. Today we're going to be talking about John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. And the story goes as this. In remote Antarctica, a group of American research scientists are disturbed at their base camp by a helicopter shooting at a sled dog. When they take in the dog, it brutally attacks both human beings and canines in the camp, and they discover that the beast can assume the shape of its victims. A resourceful helicopter pilot and the camp doctor lead the camp crew in a desperate, gory battle against the vicious creature before it picks them all off one by one.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah. And this film has a great cast, man. It really it's not a big cast, but it's great, man. Very effective. Kurt Russell, we got Keith David, we got Wilford Brimley, T.K. Carter, the OG legend, David Clennon, Richard Masur, Donald Moffat, Larry Franco, Thomas G. Waits, Charles Hallahan, Joel Polis, Peter Maloney, Norbert Weiser, and Richard Dysart, man. And the story's really great, man. I guess we can go ahead and get into it, man. One of the things that I'm going to bring up first is the story itself, man. I think this is a genius premise. Basically, it's kind of like a sci-fi based adventure action whodunit, man. And that's what I think makes this film so effective and so fun to watch and repeat watch, because as the description said, they taken this dog which is being pursued by the Norwegians, and we don't know why they were chasing this dog and shooting at it. I think they even killed the pilot, and
one blows himself up, and then the other one comes out shooting at the dog, and they shoot him.
Yeah, because basically this is like a military base too, man. So they're out there. It's one of them bases where nothing's really going on. It seems like they're just babysitting, taking up space, kind of squatting on it so America could claim some territory, and they're not doing anything all day. All of a sudden you get this action coming to them, and they don't know if it's an attack or what. So they take out the Norwegians, but then they take this dog in, which is actually our alien in dog form. And what I like about the story, it's like I said, the whodunit, man. The tension is kept really high in this. We don't know who's who or who's what, man, in this film, man. And even though Kurt Russell's the main star, after you see this thing, you realize that. But going in, it seems like everyone's on equal footing, which also adds to the tension of who's the alien. Yeah. I love those moments, man.
Another thing that works for me for the story as well is it's driven by, humans' natural fear of the unknown. You know what I mean? Like from start to finish, dude, as a viewer, we feel like we know just as much as the cast members on the screen. Like, it's like we're learning this thing together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, no one has the upper hand, and I think that's what really works, because then, it drives in that sense of isolated paranoia, the confusion, and just not knowing what's going on, or mainly who you can or can't trust.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's like two ways you could do this. You could do this where we know more than the characters on screen, which can be, suspenseful. Or you could have us in the dark just as much as them, and we're in the dark, man. We're trying to put two and two together, and I love that the way things are unfolding in this film. We don't know. There's stuff that happens off screen. Even to this day, when I rewatch this, we don't know. We're just guessing, and like, when did this guy get shifted? When did he get turned?
And another cool thing is, like, as watching it now, it almost like it felt like a choose your own adventure. But I'm saying, we're not the one with the joystick. I'm saying, we're just a fly on the wall.
We're just a fly on the wall.
Yeah, man. It really, really works, bro.
Yeah, we're guessing just as much as them. I love just the characters, man. Childs, Keith David's Childs, man. He don't trust nobody. Nobody trusts anybody. And even to the end, there's moments where you see a little bit of trust start to establish, but then they just blow it all up because someone else ends up being the creature that no one expected. It's amazing.
Another thing, speaking on the trust, it's not even that they just don't trust each other. They don't trust themselves.
Yeah.
Like when they're one of the most intense scenes to me is when they start breaking out that blood test.
Yeah.
I'm glued to the tube. I don't care how many times I see this. I'm locked in. And it's like they're sitting there patiently waiting, anxiously waiting, like,
Yeah.
Is it me? Because, you know what I'm saying, the thing is so convincing when it has you, you know, it convinces you that you still all right, and you're not.
And that's why I think this is expertly acted and directed, because man, you see Keith Davis' face and he don't even know if he's really real, and he's one of the ones that's been adamant that it's not me.
He just gashes like just do it. Just do it, bro. You should know.
The look on his face is like he's just bracing himself just in case it's him, and then when it's not, he's like, let me loose, man. Get me out this chair, man. I love it, man. I love it. I love it, man. It's great. It holds up great in that regard, man.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the acting is top notch, man. There's a really, like, besides that scene, there's some really cool moments. I like Wilford Brimley's Blair. Because this is the guy that later on we find out that he was the thing, but it's so crazy what's going on. It's like, it's not only this thing can take on the form of these people, but it's learning us. It knows us. I don't know if it's picking that up from absorbing memories and thoughts, but Blair was really convincing when he spazzed out, dude.
You know,
it was like,
one thing that I saw this time that I noticed this time around is when the computer comes up and it's like, you know, in 127,000 hours, you know, 75% of the population, and he looks almost like he's surprised, like, oh no, we can't let this thing get out. But now watching it this time around, I was like, wait a minute, now he was trying to see how long it would take him to
that's a possibility.
Take over the world.
But that's a possibility because we don't know exactly when he got compromised.
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Everything about this, dude, this story just it is up to the discretion of the viewer. Like, do you think, you know, is it you or is it not? You know what I'm saying? And when you do get got, if you get got, it's like, well, how long you been got?
Yeah, I love that scene, man, because he spazzes out. It looks like the guy that's just lost it. Like I don't know who's who. I can't trust anybody. He's attacking. He starts swinging that axe, man. This is one of the greatest.
Out the computers. He took out all the ways out. He's like, man, there's no helicopter. There's no tractors or nothing else.
I think he was the OG on the set here, and it shows why, man. He delivers a knockout performance, man. Just for them to lock him up, like, it's great, man. I love that. I love that scene, man. It's great.
And you know, not for nothing, you can't talk about this film without talking about the special makeup effects. You know what I'm saying? This film, to me personally, is the benchmark of makeup special effects. You know, this one set the tone, and this is the standard bar for films moving forward. Before, you know, we're talking about before CG when it comes to hands-on practical effects, and you know, that was all the thing, all the effects and everything was Rob Bottin, who at this time was only 22 years old, had minimal experience, but Carpenter he took the leash off this dog. And he just let him really flourish and spread his wings. And, you know, alongside of not just the makeup effects, but it's the imagination and the creativeness that he actually had to think up all these different variations of the thing. You know what I'm saying? Which also really works for this film because there's not just one creature. It's a plethora of different versions of this adaptation, you know, and it just adds to the paranoia.
We're getting like different versions of it. Like it's different every time you see it. It's pulling itself different. And what I think it's going on and what they're saying in the movie, it's kind of a creature that's kind of it can be in multiple people at the same time, but it's still one organism. You know what I'm saying? So even the smallest part, if it comes in contact with you, it has a potential to overcome you and take over you, man. Like one of my favorite scenes is when the dog goes berserk in the dog pen and starts taking over the other dogs, man. I mean, it does look a little wonky by today's standards, but the imagination level on that is 10, man. When you see those tentacles come out and it's grabbing the other dogs, and then when the one guy walks in on it and it like reaches up and pulls itself into the ceiling, you're like, yo, this is crazy. But you know, I've never seen nothing like this, man.
It's not just how visually disturbing it is, it's the sounds too. The sound effects, they really bring these images to life, you know. And like for me, my favorite variation is when the doctor's given I want to say is it Neil Norris, the defibrillator dog, and his stomach just opens up and eats both my man's arms off.
Man.
And then next thing you know, they flame on him, and then dude, the head detaches itself. That's the thing. The thing is, it will always, by any means, try to survive. It just all it needs is just a small piece to kind of to carry on. And my man's head just comes clean off, and then it turns into the spider head, which you know, and it's cool because even, you know, some variations of the thing get a little bit more of a lifespan on screen, but some of them we don't need that. Just seeing it is enough. Like the spider, I mean, what more can the spider head do outside of just be, you know, imprinted in your brain? Like, yo, I just saw that.
Yeah,
they just did that. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, man. I mean, I know this film gets a lot of props for the gore and the effects, but this thing I think has an enduring legacy because it's more. It brings more than that to the table. That's just like some icing on the top, man. Because like I said, man, it's really effective. Who done it, man? That hasn't really been topped. The atmosphere is thick. You have this claustrophobia of the space. I mean, they're in a remote location. No help is coming. Who the hell is going to get to Antarctica? Even if they called help, it would probably take days or weeks for, you know, someone that really gets to them, you know, where they're at. You know what I'm saying? So there's no help coming. And also the corridors of this building, it's a small, you know, installation. So everything is happening on the base, in and around it. You've also got the environment that's hostile, the cold. You can't really be out there too long. So you can't really run away from this thing. Where you going to go? You know what I'm saying?
There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You know, that's like running in the desert. At some point, you know, you're going to fall out. And, you know, it's a testament of time usage as well, the way this story is delivered. Because this movie comes in a little under 2 hours, but you know what I'm saying, it feels like
it goes fast, man, quick, because you're engaged moment to moment,
start to finish. I mean, soon when the credits stop rolling, dog, we'll see my man in the chopper shooting, and you're like, well, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? And you know, just as the film progresses, it's like we feel like dude, they don't even know what's going on. So how are we supposed to, as a viewer, know what's really going on? Like
rewatching this, man, even that was thrilling. Seeing that husky running through the snow, that thick snow with the chopper behind it. I'm like, yo, this is great. This is, man, the cinematography. Shout out to that, because this thing just looks great still, man. Like it does feel like it took place a long time ago, you know, but it still looks good. Like, I feel like this is a story like one of these army guys messes around and lets the beans out the bag if you survived it, and tell your grandkids, like, grandpa, you getting old. No, that ain't happened, but it did.
or like somebody decided to go to the camp, you know, in the summertime, and they found the tape and they listened to it. They're like, this is what really happened.
The other aspect of it that's great is, I mean, in the beginning we see this ship tumbling through the space, and it enters Earth's atmosphere, and you know, and when they go back to that, because they're backtracking the Norwegian steps, so they end up going to the ship, which is where the alien eventually first came from, and like that ship's been sitting in that ice for 100,000 years, dude. Like this is crazy to me, but it just makes you wonder. This thing's been sitting there that long, and it just happened to be stumbled upon by the Norwegians, and boom, and now it's on. Like,
and,
it's,
I mean,
it's
the thing
wild.
is once it fully manifests, there's no glaring telltale of who is or isn't infected. I mean, like one of my favorite parts is just when we get to the end scene, the last conversation between Kurt Russell and Keith David.
Yes.
You know, now there are glaring differences in the way they seem to be handling what's going on, but a lot of similarities too. The one thing that stood out to me, which I don't know really what substance is really supposed to carry throughout the ending of the film, but when Kurt Russell's talking, there's a lot of smoke. You can see, like, you see his breath. He seems frigid. It's cold. When he's breathing, you see it. It looks like he's hitting a cigarette every time he talks. But then when Keith David's talking, you can't see his breath at all. So
I don't know. That's weird to me. I mean, I know people bring that up as an indicator of who might be the alien.
Yeah.
But also, I think I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into that, because it seems like this thing is fully organic. I mean, even when we're looking at it, dealing with the body parts and all that. So in one way or another, it's taking in some kind of air. Unless, I don't know, man. It just seems like it is. But especially the way when they handle the blood and doing all that stuff.
But they both seem accepting of their fate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, well, we're just gonna stick around and see what happens.
Yeah. Speaking of that, it's still one of my favorite endings of any film ever.
Yes.
It just leaves it all up in the air. Really, I mean, they've destroyed Blair's version of the creature, and they're the last two left, dude, on this base, and it's just like, I mean, they're basically going to freeze to death eventually because nothing's coming, man. Like I said, they blowing up the facility, the air. I mean, maybe they could hold up and try to figure out, make some fire, whatever.
There's no way out.
But I don't think there's no way out. Yeah, there's no way out.
And
really.
They blew the generators too, so you can't even get heat in the building.
Yeah, so nobody's coming. So and they just sit there in front of the fire, and it was like, let's just wait and see. And you're just sitting there, and the camera zooms out, and you just like, yo, my mind was blown when I first saw this because I didn't see this until maybe early 2000s. You know, it was one that I had been avoiding, but I don't know, horror messed me up when I was a kid, so I was avoiding it. But when I got older, there was a phase where I just started going back and watching all this stuff that used to scare me, and I was like, dang, I was scared of this, or this is dope. And then, I finally saw the thing, and I'm just like, man, this is one of the best damn movies I've ever seen. Still to this day, that ending is still, I think, the best ending of any movie ever. For me, like that.
Because it's a clear cut, just beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Everyone's walking away feeling different, like, you know what I'm saying? Because we all think different, we all maneuver different. And this film, it gives you the opportunity to just, there's one cutout piece in this film that's not on the cast, and that's you as the viewer. We're in there too, and we're right along board for the ride, you know what I mean? And one more thing that I have to speak on when speaking about this film, to anyone who remakes films, this is a remake done right. You see what I'm saying? Because this is a remake of 1951's The Thing from Another World. You know what I mean? Just like The Fly, or just like Cape Fear. You know what I'm saying? There are some that when you do, because it can't just be a reimagination. It has to be a retelling. It has to feel new. It has to feel like it's something of its own. Even if it's a story that we've already heard or a movie that we've already seen, you have to create your own lane. Don't play it safe. You know what I mean? And this film did that in all the right ways. Yeah,
I did just bought a copy too of that original film, so I gotta sit down and watch it. They had it on sale on the Vudu, so I bought that joint for $5. Man. I definitely want to check it out.
I like it. The difference for me is that ultimately, The Thing is still just it's one figment. It doesn't do the the whole underlying shape shifting, adapt to any
I mean
kind of
that
person.
thing was like what, the 50s, so you're limited.
It kind of has like a Frankenstein kind of vibe to it, but the story is still well told. The movie's well delivered. You got to factor in this came out in 51, but the cool thing is that when you read the short story, which is what's it called, Who Goes There? That came out in the 30s, and this version of The Thing, the one John Carpenter's, kind of holds true more to the original concept of the original story. So that's kind of cool too. That not only did they reimagine this film, but they kind of dug deeper into the roots and really delivered it properly.
I really can't think of much else to add to this, man. This is one of my all-time favorites, man. This is a classic that still holds up. The remake, I thought it was okay. I probably would have received it better if I hadn't seen the original, but I thought they did a decent job for doing it. But this is one of them ones where it's just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. And also, I was kind of confused at what that other one was. They said it was a prequel, but
it was supposed to be a prequel.
But at the same time, you're following it beat for beat of the original almost. And you even got the hand thing. So like, what I didn't wasn't
like
really a prequel.
It was supposed to where that one ended. The original '82 film was supposed to pick up. The one thing I did not like about that is all of the over explanations for everything. The reason
they were holding your hands.
The reason why thing was so good was because there was no explanation. You know what I mean? In this one, it's like, 2 + 2 does equal 4. Let me explain to you why. Nah,
and I just think in some ways I did appreciate what they did with the effects and the monsters and stuff, but I don't think they picked up the main gut of this movie, which was the story, the characters. Like, I feel like if you concentrated on that a little bit more in that remake, it probably would have came out a little bit better, And
it was funny because even though this is supposed to be before the original, the tech seemed a lot more advanced. I'm like, hold on,
that's weird.
y'all got more going on. So was it budget cuts? When Kurt Russell crew came in here.
Like I said, I look at it as a reboot, even though it says it's a prequel. But it is what it is.
No.
But I don't know, man. Anything else you want to mention, man?
I mean, just outside of the fact, I strongly suggest anyone who hasn't seen it, you have to watch this film. This film is timeless. It will always hit no matter when you watch it, whether you watched it 20 years ago, today, or 20 years from now, it's still going to be effective. It's still going to be visually appealing. It's still going to just make you look away at certain points. Just like, damn, you got to give credit where credit is due. And this film is a credited film through and through. Yeah,
definitely, man. Yeah, I think that's it, folks, man. We could wrap this up, man. This has been the thing, like Bob said, man. Watch it if you haven't. If you have, rewatch it, man. This is just a great film, man. I definitely watch this thing at least maybe 3 times a year, man. I've probably seen this thing like 30, 40 times at this point, man. And it's still exciting. It's still a great ride, man, you know?
And like you were saying earlier, every time you watch it, you'll pick up something that you might not have caught a time before. You know, there's so much going on, so much to unpack, you know, that it still feels like the first time almost every time you watch it.
Yeah, folks, so I think that's it, man. You can catch us at Classes of Cinematics on Instagram, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so we can bring you more Classes of Cinematics. And this is Monk. You catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram. Also follow the Greater from the Canopy Network at FTC Net.
And this is Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on Instagram at Bobby Blockbuster 118.
Yeah, we out of here, man. Boom, Bobby McCready.